check. Mic check. Yo, hello. I was running through these streets with my... No, I'm just kidding.
All right, folks, welcome back to BEG Wrestling. We are here with Helen Maroulis, right? The first ever female Olympic gold medalist, two-time bronze medalist, and quite an outstanding career.
Thank you.
And in fact, you were born in Maryland, right?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit about that because I live in Frederick now, and I believe you're from Rockville,
yeah,
right? So
Rockville.
born in Maryland, Maryland girl. Tell me about your experience growing up in Maryland.
My experience growing up in Maryland is great. My father's from Greece, and when he emigrated, they all came to Maryland, and they've been here ever since. So I think I was the first and only person for a very, very long time that ever moved away from home. So
Really?
Yeah, we have deep roots there.
So you've done many first things in your life. I saw your family's from Greece. I just wanted to ask you kind of about your upbringing. Like, how did you even initially get involved with wrestling?
Yeah, so my father, when he emigrated, he was like a teenager and he was getting bullied for being an immigrant. And so he actually joined wrestling to learn some self-defense, and he fell in love with it and had to give it up to just help his family support themselves. But then, flash forward to when he had children, he put my brothers in wrestling. And so when my little brother joined, there weren't enough kids on the team. And the coach initially just told her, hey, bring him back, next year. And she didn't want to do that. So she told me to kick off my shoes and to go be my brother's dummy. And so after 2 weeks of sprints, push-ups, all the hard work that the boys were doing, I went to my parents and I said, this isn't fair. I'm doing everything that the boys are doing, but they get to compete and I don't. So my dad made one bet with me that I could wrestle one match, and if I won that match, I could keep wrestling. And it was the only match I won all year.
What?
So I was 1-30 my first year, but I got to keep wrestling.
So you were 1-30 your first season,
1-30.
but kept pushing through. Why? Like, what was your motivating factor there?
Well, interestingly enough, I think, just for further context, I think my father even made that bet because my parents knew my track history or my track record with sports, which was, I did diving, ballet, gymnastics, and every sport that I ever did, the instructors would ask my parents not to bring me back because I was really shy and I would shut down. I would just look at the floor and cry. So I think they just thought that there's no way she'll step on a mat with a bunch of boys and, in this arena. But in reality, the very first time that I stepped on the mat and wrestled, it's like I instantly fell in love with it. And I felt like I was in my own world. And so I actually didn't care about what people thought or saw. I just finally found something that I just love so deeply in my soul. So that's definitely been God's gift to me.
Wow, what a fascinating story.
Thank you.
And then you actually go on and then you beat a boy who was a state champion, right, to win a championship in Maryland high school?
I did. I became the first girl in Maryland to place at the Maryland State Tournament, but I took sixth my freshman year and then sixth my junior year. My sophomore year I had Lyme's disease, and so I wrestled in it, but I didn't place. And then after that I moved to train only with women for my senior year.
Okay, to Michigan, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what inspired that move to Michigan?
I just remember after my junior high school season, my mom got a phone call from the U.S. Olympic Education Center out there. And so they were really growing women's wrestling, and that was a feeder program into the United States Olympic and Paralympic Center.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just said, hey, look, your daughter can wrestle one more year with boys in folk style, or you can, if she knows she wants to go to the Olympics, you might as well start to transition to freestyle early. So we have this new program where high school girls can come out and they can finish their high school season and train with all the college Olympic level women. And so I just thought that was a great opportunity. My parents thought it was, so I moved away from home and I did that. My parents stayed, I moved.
So before you made that move, and you mentioned your father kind of introduced you into it, was he primarily your coach up to that point, or
No.
who was your coach?
No, my father was not my coach. My father actually wouldn't go to a lot of tournaments. He would have my mom take me because he was just too afraid he was going to get in a fight, which probably definitely would have happened. So that was like a good little safety measure. But yeah, people didn't really treat you very nicely when I first started in wrestling. So he was not my coach, but they just were really supportive. My parents would have done, I think they saw that I had this drive, and my father's always said, like, you've had a gift since you were young. Like a cat, you always land on your feet. So I think they really saw potential, and they've always supported that. But I just had my high school coaches, and that was it. Then I just moved.
So, I mean, you've experienced things that, you know, women haven't, and you've kind of laid a path for kind of women in the future. But, I mean, you mentioned you went 1-30 your first season, but I can only imagine through your iconic career here that you've probably had many trials and tribulations. I mean, tell me about a time or two when maybe you were even considering giving it up, or what?
Yeah, so I would say probably the most probably difficult trial to get over was in 2018 and 19. I suffered a series of 3 major concussions, pretty much back to back, and then also had a PTSD diagnosis, and each of them took like 4 to 5 months, or like 3 to 4 months for recovery. But, you know, I had like derealization, depersonalization, I had light sensitivity, sound sensitivity, my personality changed, and then I was like basically put in a mental institution twice during this time. So it was a really interesting paradox to be like, oh, you went from, you know, going 3 years straight undefeated, winning Olympics and Worlds 3 years in a row, to now you're literally in a mental institution deemed like too unsafe for yourself to enter back into normal society. So, and that did, when I came out of that, I was still recovering from a concussion, and so that did produce like a forced retirement that I had to go through. So, but even that was, I think, a very beneficial experience, because I got a taste of retiring, and so when I came back, I have such a deep appreciation for wrestling, and, you know, just not taking anything for granted.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a laundry list of injuries, but
yeah, I mean, and, you know, I was talking to Rich Bender yesterday kind of about the character that being a wrestler builds. I mean, and what you kind of talk through is, I mean, what would you say as far as any women out there considering wrestling right now?
Women, like young girls?
Young girls,
yeah.
Yep.
Honestly, I think that this sport's so incredible that, like, my message to young girls is just to go out and try it. So I think that's just what happened to me. I went out and I gave it a shot, and I fell in love with it. I think you should do the sport that you fall in love with, but I think you should try a lot of things to make sure you know what that really is. And wrestling's such a great sport. It's going to challenge you. It's going to help you to grow, develop. It's going to give you confidence and just good values, and allow you to realize how much you can overcome and what you can achieve in yourself. It's also, you know, really great in that it's a weight management sport, and so I think that can actually be a benefit to teach you about how to have a healthy relationship with your body, how to eat healthy, how to recover properly, and I think that can be a good avenue for girls.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're definitely, I mean, providing a future path, like I said, for young women out there. I follow you on social media. I see you're very active, very good on social media. Do you have like a social media manager?
No.
You do all that on your own?
No, my roommate's actually, my roommate's a former USA athlete as well, one of my best friends, and so she's actually been really good at that, and so she's kind of helped me to get into it. But I kind of shunned social media for a while, because it was like, what is this adding to my life, and I just want to focus on wrestling. But then when I spent so much time being like the injured girl, or like needing to be like the role model and the champion, that I felt like I was also putting myself into a box. And there is a big part of my personality that's very quirky and goofy, and so I do like a lot of comedy stuff on social media.
I've seen that on your social media.
Because it's a good outlet for me.
No, I mean, you do funny stuff. I think more people need to do that, and I'm impressed that you don't have a manager. I see your phone rolling here, but
yeah.
All right, what about, like, I mean, we've kind of talked about the mental, everything you've gone through. Let's talk about where you are now and your future here in wrestling. Like, what are your plans exactly here in the future?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I mean, my plans, what I feel, I was so sure that I was going to retire. Well, I was so sure I was going to win a gold medal and then retire after Paris. That didn't happen, but I was still so sure I was going to retire, and then talked to a couple loved ones, and they put some things into perspective, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'm not done. And it's LA, so how can you kind of turn that opportunity down? I do feel like I'm called to just step away for a little bit and maybe pursue some other things and let my body heal and rest. So I am planning to come back to wrestling. I also generally check in with God, and I feel like I get very clear confirmation, and I haven't I haven't gotten a no, but I feel like it's a not yet, or like a wait, or I just don't know. So things could also change, but for right now I think I'm going to come back.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, and you've been going through this process. This would be the fourth time now, right? And
it would be my fifth
time actually going through the process, I guess, right?
Yeah. So I've done 4 Olympic trials, 4 Olympic finals, qualified the weight for 4 Olympics. This would be the 5th.
Have you changed anything?
A lot of things.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, what would be one of the things that you've changed?
Oh man, kind of in some ways, almost everything. So I've changed coaches, I've changed training locations, I've changed the way that I've pursued and done sport, I've changed the way that I do life outside of sport. I just very much look at wrestling as a tool that God uses to shape my character, and so part of that has to come with an awareness and a willingness to, like, when I'm being asked to like grow or evolve, to do it. And sometimes what happens is you'll find success in wrestling and you think, well, I got to do all these things so that I can find that success again, but it's like you can't step into the same river twice. So I think you have to step into also evolving and trusting that the results and the success can still come with that, and like not holding on to old patterns.
So it's, mental development and
I think
kind
a lot.
of building up that mental fortitude. Yeah. But Helen, I want to know who you are outside of a wrestler, okay?
Oh.
Tell me, you have to have at least a guilty pleasure or something.
I do. My guilty pleasure is I love learning hobbies. Like, I just love acquiring hobbies. So I think when COVID hit, my goal was to learn 20 new things. So I did like hand knitting, and I started studying Russian, and I was doing dance at the time, like salsa bachata, which I'd started that earlier. Got into cooking. And then I got into archery,
wow.
knitting. So. But I have to be very careful that when I pick a hobby, I have to stick with it. Otherwise, I start a bunch of things and then nothing really becomes good. So, but I have the ability to hyper focus. So it's like I'll pour into that. I just started jiu-jitsu 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I'm like pretty obsessed with that. So that's the new like fun thing right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking about, it sounds like you're going to make another run here. But after that, do you ever have any plans on maybe getting into coaching?
I would. I do. I really enjoy coaching, and I love helping out. And I feel like, why would God give me so much experience and, just, I don't want to say like wisdom, but just experiences and, information in the sport without paying it forward. But I don't know in what capacity I want to coach. So there's also other things that I want to do with my life, and I've given my whole life to wrestling, really. So I don't know if that means walking away, doing some other things, and then coming back, or coaching, maybe not at a program, but just helping out individuals. So things of that nature. I just haven't really figured it out. Well,
I mean, I think you deserve to make that choice on your own, whether you stay in wrestling or not. I think we all, as wrestling fans, hope you do. But I'll say, I think, oddly enough, I think your social media is one of the things that I personally feel is so influential to young girls or even and young men who are looking to be wrestlers. I just love your social media. You make it cool, you make it fun, you do funny stuff, and I wish more people would do more of that. But it's hard though. Like I can't even keep up. I can't imagine. I'm shocked you don't have a manager.
Yeah, no, there's definitely, like, I fasted social media 21 days before the Olympics. I felt called to do that, and so there's definitely, the second that I started, it's like you're still in the mindset of like, oh, this would be funny to film, or this would be cool to document, or like this. And so it's interesting when you completely cut all that off and you're like, oh, I have mental space to put towards other things.
Sure.
But at the same time, I really enjoy it. Even if I'm not posting on social media, I film everything. Like, I'm really big on documenting memories. I'll go on the plane and I'll just look through all my old videos and like reminisce about these beautiful memories with my families or friends. Like, I really like that. It's kind of something that came, maybe I always did it, but it really became important when I had the concussions, because I couldn't remember a lot of stuff.
Wow.
So, I would write down every conversation that I had with someone so I could make sure, just kind of be organized in that. And then when I started like just filming things, I'm like, oh, this is so fun. Like, I have my life documented. I have these memories. So. Well,
have you seen AJ Ferrari's Day in the Life? Have you thought about doing a day in the life?
Just like, no, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I really haven't seen it. I don't know, but I'm guessing this was in there.
Well, yeah, a couple of them.
I should do a day in a life.
You
I want
should.
to do like, I was thinking about kind of a parody version of that, where it's like.
I am
day in a
also
life.
thinking of
Yeah.
a parody version. I got to find the time to do it, but I have notes and everything mapped out for it.
Man.
But
Okay, we'll make it the New Year's resolution.
all right, well,
So.
Helen, I really appreciate your time, and if there's one final message that you'd like to leave everyone with here today, what would that be?
Just all the wrestlers out there, I hope that you are pursuing sport in the best way possible, that you're enjoying every second of it, and just don't be afraid to ask a lot of yourself or believe in yourself, because it's not where you start, it's where you finish, and I believe that all things are possible. And so this is a beautiful journey, and it's going to allow you to grow and change and evolve and see the best of yourself, sometimes see the worst of yourself, but it's all for the benefit of helping you to become a better person on and off the mat. So I really hope that you guys enjoy that process.
That was great.
Thank
Helen,
you.
incredible. Thanks again. And folks, like and subscribe, BEG Wrestling. Thanks again.